Welcome back to The Evil Within. The Evil Within 2. We're here in Chapter 3, early in the Chapter 3. This is our first venture out onto the streets. If you watched our last episode, you know that we died here. And so we've come back to this point, and we're going to see if Brian can get Sebastian to do what Brian is thinking he should do. Namely, get out of cover, stand up, shoot the crossbow bolt. I'm still not staying up. There you go, stand up. Okay. Jump over the barricade and do what the tutorial said. Stomp on people. You saw the communicator come up there. That's my mistake. In the Evil Within, you used Y was your physical attack. And here it wanted me to use A to do the stomping attack instead of launching an actual physical attack. And I often confuse the two. And I was trying to see if, now he's down on the ground, if there was something, he was kneeled, if I could still stomp on him or what there was. I wound up wasting an axe there. Kneeled down like that using an axe on the person. That axe is gone. They're one use and you already had him down. So it was probably not the smartest way to use the axe, but one of the other guys had an axe, so I still have my axe. So I still have an axe. The thing to notice about axes, if you find one in the environment, like that first axe that we picked up in a pile of bodies, that axe will stay there indefinitely. You can leave it there until you're leaving the whole area and then pick it up as the last thing you do before you leave the area. An axe that falls off of like the one that I just picked up from the fallen zombie, when you pick that axe up, if you don't pick it up through any sort of transition in save games, respawning, any of that, it goes away. Now, it'll be there until you do save a game and reload. But basically it won't stay there past the play session, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Suck it up, James. We've been through worse than this.
All right. So, just to remind everybody, this is a blind playthrough. What you're seeing is Brian and Jackie playing through the game for the first time. At this point, we know very little about any of the achievements. We've gotten a few achievements, so we know about those specifically. In the last episode, we got Good to See You Again. That was for picking up the crossbow, and Shock Therapy, which was for using the crossbow bolt inside the puddle. Didn't show those pop here. You didn't hear the sound of them popping. That's because once an achievement pops, even if you reload to a spot that was before the achievement doesn't pop again. It stays popped. So, that's kept on the, in this case, Epic server. It's a blind playthrough. In our first playthrough, we're still trying to figure out how each of the tools works. Mostly they work the way they did in the previous game, and the way you would expect them to do. A handgun's a handgun. Crossbow's a crossbow. It has a heavy punch. It hits pretty hard. Now at this point, I don't know if you noticed it, but there's a zombie on the roof of that. It's back behind us now, but that building. And I didn't see it. Now there was a side quest that we were given, which was to go investigate this signal. But I remembered that there was, there we go. So I moved far enough. I remembered there was a white signal, and I thought, well, the white signals, it says a fallen Mobius member, and like this was a signal previously, a fallen Mobius signal. And so now on the map you can see that little white square with the little line through it. That's the Mobius signal. So I decided I would go look for that instead of working on the side quest. I figured this would be a smaller thing, is just find the fallen operative and whatever they had on them. And it looks like it should be here. This door doesn't have a Mobius lock on it, but it won't open. But see, it shows that lock symbol, and we talked about that. I think that's one thing that the creators of the game kind of goofed up on, because to me that showing locked like that implies that there's a way to open it that I just don't know yet. I don't have a key, or I don't have the whatever it's going to take to open that door. And yet they do that at each one of these doors. Every time I test a door, it'll show that lock symbol. And so I keep thinking, okay, well, there's a key or there's something that I'm going to need to get in there. Can't break that lock. Can't even break the windows. Can't break a locked door. It turns out that when it says lock like that, sometimes those doors will open. Usually they'll open all by themselves. They'll just like suddenly you'll do something and the door will like just creak open. For no apparent reason as to why what you were doing was associated with that door in any way. But most of them will just have that lock symbol on them and they never open. And like I said, that sort of bugged me about the game. That kind of a small thing, but remember, we haven't been in here yet. This is apparently the visitor center. I kept thinking, well, maybe I was reading that map wrong. Maybe he's all the way over here in this building. Or maybe I'm going to find a key to open the door to get into that other building. Turn your light on, Brian. There you go. Me realizing that people on YouTube probably can't even see what I'm looking at. Again, this is, first boot. We're, about an hour and a half into the game now of gameplay time. So we don't know what anything is. Another document.
Welcome to Union Pamphlet. Union is an ideal mix of small-town charm and modern-day convenience, surrounded by diverse, natural wonders. Come and step back into a simpler time, where the warm, friendly smiles of the residents are comfortable and familiar. Get away from the hustle and bustle and come to a place that welcomes you with open arms. Union. We're glad you're here.
Sounds like it was a nice place. They're opening you with welcome arms for sure now. And open mouths. They want to eat. Like, for instance, this door. I push on it, and it's going to get a little lock symbol. And eventually that door will open. It takes an awful lot of convoluted steps to get that door to open. And so that always begs the question of, like, when they show you a lock on a door and you never get that door open, it left this question in the back of my mind as to whether or not was there some sequence of events that I didn't see, that I didn't manage to trigger to get a door to open. But that really doesn't seem to be the case. Now this may seem strange, may seem like we didn't do a whole lot. But we died twice. We've picked up things. And so going back and saving may seem like it's a little early, but you also have to remember that these episodes aren't necessarily broken on play sessions. And so I can't remember how far we were into the play session. We may have already played for like 90 minutes or 2 hours at night just before bed. And so we come back and save. So sometimes these saves may seem strange in the episodic scenario of them. I can't tell you. I mean, I could have if I'd have written it down and paid attention to when I was editing the videos. I could tell you whether or not this was done in one play session. I believe this was all done. I believe that save that we just made was the end of our first play session. So it's here we are in our fifth video. So our play sessions usually range between, they're usually around 2 hours long. And so I think 5 episodes, that's getting pretty close to an hour and a half. So right in there somewhere, we probably hit the end of our play session. That's probably when we came back and saved there. That was actually probably end of our day. This would mean this video now is coming from play session number 2. I'm still fascinated by this white bar. And I figure, well, okay, I haven't gone around the other sides of the building. Let me go around the other sides of the building. And that's when I see a staircase there. I'm like, oh, that might be it. But there are boxes. Let me go look at these boxes. And then I hear some growling, and I'm thinking, whoa, duck, don't break boxes. That may call whatever it is that's growling. Another stealth kill. I don't know why I didn't break boxes now. Obviously, I got rid of whatever was growling. Got rid of that zombie that was growling. Probably go back and break them now. Now, bottles are interesting. At first, it seems like they're everywhere. And I'm thinking, how can I possibly be using... How could you use that many bottles to distract zombies? They tend to be in these groups. Or if they're solo, I don't need to distract them. I can just go kill them. If they're not solo, they're in these huge groups. And it felt very strange. But it winds up that there's an ability that you can gain. That if you're carrying a bottle, if a zombie goes to grab you, you'll pull out the bottle and crash it against the side of their head, breaking the grip, and then you can run away. And you don't take any damage when you do that. So it winds up being important. And there's a point where I'm like, there's not enough bottles. I'm being grabbed all the time. Good view of up in the sky. The rest of the city is over there. Here we are on the roof, and finally figured out that white symbol, that white scanner trace that we were trying to find, was not in the building. It's on the roof of the building. It's a good thing to keep in mind for future playthroughs, or if you haven't played through yet on your playthrough. This is a good place to come at the very beginning. There's one zombie. I'm being apparently very cautious about it. But one zombie to take care of, and you get some nice gear out of it. It's straight across from the safe house too, so... Well, not straight across, but... close enough to straight across. And once you've watched enough gameplay, or you've played enough yourself, you start to recognize patterns, and you start to learn how close in the peripheral vision you... Like, they have actually pretty narrow vision. They turn like that, and their scanning will turn with it, but their peripheral vision is really, really poor. You don't have to be much off angle. I found that even on nightmare mode. We're playing on classic mode right now, which is basically nightmare difficulty, and even then, their peripheral vision is really not very acute. They are more sensitive. They are more sensitive to sound for sure, and they are more fidgety. They will turn more than they do on standard. So they move a little faster, a little more jerky, meaning they'll turn side to side on you. So it's a little harder to get right behind them all the time, but their peripheral vision is still really poor. Read the document first.
Mobius communicator log, replacement parts. A communication log found on the communicator. Keating, we're on the roof of the building next to the visitor center. I blew out the barrel of the sniper rifle. Need a replacement parts. Stat. McCoy, the parts are in the supply shed across from Union Auto Repair. It's all the way up in the northwest corner of town. It's right on the edge of the break. Come on, man. Keating, I don't care where they are. Bring them to me before these things find their way up here. McCoy, shit, man. Why'd I always get the dangerous jobs?
Barrel's toast, but the rest of it looks okay. Need to find some parts to fix it.
So they make you really earn those parts. Eventually I figured out ways to do it that's not too hard, but I think in this playthrough we really earn those parts when we do eventually get it. If you noticed on the map, you start in the bottom southeast corner of the map. Basically, is where this safe house is, and so you've got to go through all of the village to get there, all through all of Union to get to it. Of course, there are some paths that are safer than others. All right, so at this point we're feeling pretty good. We've got kind of a clean street here that we seem to be able to walk up and down in front of. We've gone into the visitor center. We killed the zombies that were down in that alley. We killed the group of zombies that were here at the corner. Now that we solved the mystery of the little white signal, let's go look at this big green signal. Big green signals are marked as side quests in your mission maps. And see, I still don't think I saw him on the roof there beating on the thing. I'm still looking around. You want to be careful of that guy up there. He can hear you running around. But the reason I say I must not have seen him is because I start hearing him growling, and I hear the crunching as he's tearing at that body on the roof. But I don't know where he is, and I'm too close now to the roof. When I look up, I can't see it. So I'm convinced there's a zombie around here somewhere, but I don't know where it is. I'm thinking, is it inside the building maybe, or is it... It's the thing about humans. Humans don't look up that often. And so something on a roof is almost invisible to us. Now this is funny. This is funny because what I saw, I don't know if you noticed it, but there were these black kind of ghostly figures there. And the communicator, that little communicator symbol that comes up with those, see it's coming up red. And I think that's warning me that there's something dangerous. I'm looking around the corner at these ghostly black hazy things, and I'm like, oh hell no, I don't know what that is. I don't want anything to do with that. And I'm not thinking that's what I'm actually trying to get to. I'm thinking that that's some sort of those invisible ghosts. Or remember the invisible monsters in the last game, The Evil Within, and you couldn't see them moving. They would kind of blink in and out once in a while. And so I thought that's what we were dealing with there. I thought that, oh, this is the invisible forms of the zombies. They were called Haunted in the last game, and then I think they're called Lost here. But in the zombies in the last game, the invisible ones would kind of blink in and out, and I thought maybe that was the new way, the new graphics is showing me that there were the invisible monsters there. And with that corpse, with that zombie on the roof beating at that corpse, and you hear that kind of squishy, splashy sound. Remember in the last game, that was the squishy, splashy sound could be associated with the invisible monsters. They kind of had that kind of sucky, splashy sound. And so in my brain, in Jackie's brain, we put all that together as those are invisible monsters, and we need to avoid that corner until we know how to deal with them, until we know something a little more than we currently know. So the funny thing is it's not that. Those are what you call residual memories. And There's an achievement for seeing all 24 residual memories in the game. And that's probably the first one that you would come across. But you'll see we'll avoid that. We'll wind up going around and trying to get to it from a different angle. I think this time I finally see him up there, because you see, whoa, there I saw him. As soon as I saw him, I ducked, right? That tells you exactly how I didn't see him before, because my reaction was to duck. If you duck and you go around this way, go around this way, then you can climb up that ladder that's on the side of the building and get behind them. You can stealth kill them. I think I fail at the stealth kill. I think I wind up shooting it. I'm thinking, what are the chances you can step onto a metal roof quietly enough to not... But see, I walked. And by walking, she heard me, and she turned around. She gave up on the thing. I do like how the... here I am trying to move the camera again. Popping up the quick arsenal menu. I do like how... You notice when I shot her, the spots where the bullets hit turned like this bright orange. So you know where you're hitting on them. So you can kind of adjust your aim. Later on, we wind up with a handgun that has a laser. So a laser pointer, basically. I'm not convinced it points in the right place, because I feel like, I don't know. I feel like I'm almost better off without it sometimes. I consistently use it though, so I guess I shouldn't say that I feel that way, because I certainly continue to use it. Once I find it, that's use it exclusively. This is me still thinking, don't draw those black smoky creatures. Be very quiet. Crash. Haven't played Assassin's Creed, but this was giving me the feeling of like going from rooftop to rooftop. I can see the appeal of that. See some more white signals. I think it's interesting that it tells you that it's a fallen Mobius operator, and that they will have handgun bullets. So you get information on whether or not you think it's worth tracking down. Handgun ammo pouch. That sounds very worth tracking down. And I'm still looking at that green signal, and that green signal leads to those black smoky creatures that are residual memory. But I still think they're. I think that whatever the signal is going to lead me to is being guarded by those two smoky creatures instead of is the two smoky creatures. This is a fun little segment. It's too telegraphed to be much of a jump scare, but I like it. It's a good sequence. I handled it well, which is kind of surprising. I managed to not pull up the quick arsenal menu. That time I pushed down the left joystick and turned the light on. Instead of the right joystick, bring up the menu. You can see I'm embracing the whole stealth mode. Staying in a crouch, walking everywhere in a crouch. Camera, you're thinking, Stefano? Of course, he doesn't know the name Stefano yet, but the person that we encountered when we first went through the mirror and we wound up in some lunatic's brain that was using murder as an art, a way, expressive art. There's our pouch. You can see that little pop-up in the menu, that's actually inside the game. That's not a HUD that we added this time. Normally we have a HUD that's tracking all the collectibles. We don't need to because they're built into the game. I thought that was a nice addition. Now this sort of annoys me, and there's nothing you can do about this trip switch, and there's just, I mean, it's okay that, but the first time you encounter it, this is the first one we've encountered, right? It's a tripwire, and the tripwire is, you can't miss it. You can see it there, but there's nothing you can do about it. And I'm thinking, all those tripwires in the original game, those are explosives, you know, so I don't want to explode myself, but there seems to be nothing I can do about it. In The Evil Within, you could usually walk to one end or the other, and you could dismantle it, and you actually got parts for your crossbow that way. So here I am figuring, okay, something's going to happen when I trip that thing, that camera. Well, it took a picture of us, and now we're in one of those still frames where everything's moving slowly. And the zombie ran across at us through that as well. Now, if I'd really been prepared, I would have stood there where I could see through the through the haze and was seeing her moving in slow motion the whole length of from the camera to us. That whole area was in that slowed down freeze frame, if you will. Could have dealt with her as she was charging down that, but I was trying to get out of the area, and I stepped back into it and took my eyes off of the corridor. So she wound up right on top of us, but we got out of it. Okay, everything went fine. But yeah, I don't know why they make the tripwires so visible. It's like telegraphing to you that it's going to happen, but giving you no way to deal with the telegraphing. There'll be a part that you'll use that to your advantage, and so. But at first it was a little offsetting. I didn't know what to make of it. Oh, the A button, right? There you go. Stomp on them while they're down. You can see how much damage we're playing on survival mode. Just kind of the basic difficulty. We always play our first game. We always play on what I would call standard. Just the baseline difficulty that everything else is compared to. Casual is easier than this, and Nightmare is harder than this. So this is the baseline. And so we always figure that's the intended, that's kind of what the makers of the game, the producers of the game, that's what they thought was how they kind of wanted the game to be presented. And so we play it on that mode the first time always. Even if we think we might be skilled enough to play it at a harder difficulty, we don't normally go easier. Even on The Evil Within, which was a notoriously hard game, we didn't go easier. We just played it on survival to start with. I want to experience the game. I want my first pass through the game to be what the producers of the game, the creators of the game, the programmers of the game wanted you to experience. And so that's how we play our first playthrough, is on whatever the standard difficulty is. In this case, they call it survival. But you can see that the zombies do a lot of damage. We haven't really been hit by much, and here we are. What's that? We've got maybe a fifth of our life, and I'm thinking with a fifth of my life, a dark warehouse, I'm not going any further. I'm done with that. Let's head back. I believe at this point we head back to the safe house and save. So we do occasionally save in the middle of a play session. We don't always save just at the end of play sessions. But we're going to go back and check and see if the coffee pot is green. If the coffee pot's green, we can heal ourselves. And then we'll save. Maybe we'll make some use of the... we've got some parts now. And we've got some more gel. I think for this episode, we are going to drink our coffee, and then we are going to save and call it quits. Hope you enjoyed it. I hope you're enjoying this kind of slow gameplay as we learn the game together. I hope it's useful to you, and we don't have a whole lot to discuss about the lore yet. We can kind of hit some highlights on what we saw and what people said and see what we think about that. But we are going to do some upgrades. Okay. Wasn't sure there was going to be time left for that. Figuring that handgun, I'm having to shoot him 4 and 5 times to kill him. That, you know, some power might be nice. So we're going to start there. And a larger magazine. These are seem very inexpensive. We got two upgrades for only 70. So that was great. So altogether we wound up getting 3 upgrades there. 1 power boost and 2 ammo capacity. So more rounds in the gun and a little bit more damage done when you use it. We're going to craft some handgun ammo, I'm guessing. This will give us an achievement called DIY, do it yourself. For the first time you craft anything. Could have been anything that's up there. There you go. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed this episode. We got another achievement. And we're making some progress. We've got a pretty clean street now. So we'll see you in the next episode where we will continue to explore Union. Thanks for watching.